These are the Industrial Revolution and Urbanization Notes, looking at the effects and impacts of the Industrial Revolution. So what you should do first is get the article, The Social Impact of Industrialization, either from class or from Blackboard, and read it and then answer the following questions. How did the Industrial Revolution change towns and the countryside? How did the Industrial Revolution change the standard of living? How did the Industrial Revolution change families? And what were some of the new issues that arose from the Industrial Revolution? So if you haven't done that yet, stop the video, go do that. It's always better to do something first, try it, even if you get it wrong, and fix it. You learn more from that than you do from just copying what's going to be coming, looking at the answers. So go and do it first, then come back. All right, now that you've actually done the reading and answered the questions and learned more, let's see what you got. Okay, so the changes to the towns and the countryside. We're going to see the development and growth of large factory towns. Okay, even if you wrote down something similar, don't change it. Okay, maybe just add to it. It's okay if you wrote it in different language than what I have. You just want to have the main ideas. Movement to towns and cities by people because of the jobs that they want, and it's easier to get there from transportation. We're going to see the overall population increase in towns and cities. And we're going to see the population decrease in the countryside because people are moving away from there, less jobs. Now, how did it change the standard of living? We're going to see a higher standard of living, but not necessarily for everyone. Okay, they're still going to be people in very much in poverty. We're going to see higher wages than before for most people, but again, the standard of living, or the cost of living, is going to be increasing as well, so that's going to be an issue. We're going to see a growth of the middle class, which means the merchants and the factory overseers are no longer in the lower class, they're going to now be in the middle class. And most people get an improved education, but not all. Okay, most people will probably go to school now for until maybe about 6th grade and then go work in the factories. We're talking lower class here. The upper class has always been educated in England. But they realize that, well, maybe we should have workers who can read the instructions on the machine before having any issues with workers. So they're going to educate them. Now, change to families. We're going to see people no longer working together at home, and so there's less of a bond between families. Lower class women and children are going to start working in the factories as well as the men. And then men are also going to work in mines or other businesses as they're needed. Some women become shopkeepers or shop workers. So there are more jobs that you can do, and people are now working outside the home rather than at the home. And then some new issues that come to light. We're going to see the use of child labor become very practiced. Okay, we read about this during our factory life documents. And you can see the kid here working at a textile mill making thread. We're going to see regimented workers, which means you have a strict set of things that you must do and you must do them now. Kind of like how you go to first period and then third period, or SAP, and then third period, and then fifth period, and then 7th period, and then you're done. So you have a regimen, you have a schedule. We're going to see a lot of psychological strains from this new workload. We're going to see environmental pollution from the smoke from the coal, burning the coal to run the steam engine, things like that. And we're going to see some pretty poor working conditions. If you get injured, there's no working compensation. There's no guarantee that you'll have your job when you get back from being injured. And so a lot of people who get injured end up out on the streets, which is going to be a problem for society to take care of. Here's that picture in a little bit bigger. You can see they're taking the bobbins from the left hand, the bin that's closer to us, and they put them on the machine and they tie the thread to it, and then the thread spins around it as the machine spins it, and then when it's finished, you have to quickly tie it off and then throw it in the other bin when it's done and start a new one. So it's pretty quick, and again, it's dangerous work. You can see the kid in the very back has something around his head. It looks like a bandage, maybe from injuring himself somehow. Okay, the kid is barefoot. Okay, he's not wearing long sleeves, because if you have long sleeves and there's a thread at the end, it might get caught in the machine and your arm gets pulled in. So it's not very good working conditions. The floor is really dirty. It looks like there's a lot of lint in the air, a lot of dust, and you breathe that in and you get pneumonia and bronchitis and asthma and things like that. Not fun. Now, urbanization is going to be the growth or building of cities, including the movement of people to these cities. So we can see how Chicago was built in this bird's eye view. Okay, and there's very straight lines of cities. It's going to be planned out along the river and the lake, the Great Lakes. Most cities are going to be planned out like this, especially in the new areas that arise around the factories. The older areas are going to be crazy twisty roads. So what causes urbanization are the economic opportunities or jobs that are there from the factories being built in the towns. Okay, the workers need to be living by the factories so they can get there to get their work done. It doesn't make sense to have a factory and have nobody live near it. It's not going to work out. And also because of the enclosure movement, because we enclosed all of that farmland and they can't farm anymore, so therefore they have to find a job and move to the cities. Now, there are a bunch of problems with urbanization. That's going to include a lack of housing in open areas. And so people start to live in these tenements, really tall buildings, really small, cramped apartments. Think of your bedroom at home. Now imagine that you have 8 siblings and your parents and maybe your grandparents, and you're all living in your one bedroom in a city. We're also going to have a lack of safe and efficient transportation. It's getting better, but it's still not there. At the beginning, when railroads are first created, they blow up a lot. That's going to be a problem because it kills a lot of people. They also derail easily. But we're going to end up fixing that eventually. But it's still tough to get around. Think of how tough it is to get around on the metro sometimes on the weekend when they're doing all the track work. We're going to have a lot of unsafe drinking water, pollution in the drinking water. We don't have good systems in order to sanitize our drinking water. We also don't have sanitation. We don't have indoor plumbing quite yet, especially not in the tenements because it's too expensive to put in there. We don't have to put in sewer pipes and all of that. And so people get sick really easily. It's very overcrowded. And so if one person gets sick, think of an airplane. If one person gets sick on an airplane, everybody assumes that they're automatically going to get sick, and it's a possibility. There's a big chance for fire. A lot of the original tenements and apartment buildings are made out of wood, not brick, or because they put them up really quickly around the factories and they want to build them fast. Wood is a lot faster than stone, but wood also catches fire a lot faster than stone does. There's going to be a lot of crime. If you get more people together in one area, you have a higher crime rate. And there's going to be a lot of poverty when people get injured at work and then get fired from their job because they're injured and can't work there anymore. And they're going to end up living on the streets, and that's going to be a big issue in society. So what I want you to do is look at this list and think if there are any other problems of urbanization, and think of the good things and all of the changes that we talked about above. And I want you to evaluate it. I want you to make a list of pros and cons on your sheet. What are the good things, the pros of the Industrial Revolution, and what are the bad things of it? And then in class we're going to talk about it and make a list on your own. If you would please make a list, and then feel free to bring it in, and if you have any questions we can talk about it during SAP or after school. So here's another picture of tenement houses. Okay, most families would get like a room that has two windows. Maybe they would have 2 or 3 rooms to their apartment, but it would often be very crowded. Okay, here's a picture of a tenement. You can see the sizes of the rooms here, and this is probably one apartment, these couple rooms, but they could also be single family apartments. This 11 by 14 room could house one family, and then another family lives in the 9 foot 6 inch by 10 feet room. There's only one bathroom for the entire floor, and so all 4 sets of apartments have to share this one bathroom. So it's probably going to end up like the porta potties at Nissan after a big concert, something you don't want to go into, if there is a bathroom at all and you don't have chamber pots. This is what a tenement might look like. You can see how they've kind of made a bunk bed, and more people are sleeping on it than just one. Lots of people share beds. If your family has extra room on the floor, you might end up renting out the floor space for maybe 5-10 cents a night. And it's nothing like shady. It's just, you're trying to make some money and offer someone on the street a place to sleep for the night if they have the money. And people are still going to be working at home, okay? So this is like a tenement where they've actually set up a little shop, kind of a domestic system, but trying to make some extra money. You can see this guy over on the left is using an iron, and the woman in the back looks like she's doing some sewing, trying to make some extra money in their apartment. So how does the industrialization spread? Okay, well, we know it's going to start in England, and if you're actually able to watch this PowerPoint, full PowerPoint, download the PowerPoint, it's going to start in England. And then the second place it moves is this yellow era over to the United States. It's going to move through industrial espionage. A guy named Samuel Slater is going to memorize the designs of the machines in England, and then come over to the US and basically draw them out and have someone copy them. And that's how the US gets to be industrialized. So after England and the US, it's then going to spread to the rest of the European continent, so France and Spain and Germany and Italy eventually, all of those areas. And then eventually it will somewhat, throughout the next 100 years, spread to the rest of the world, so you get factories in the Middle East, you get factories in Russia, you get factories, some in South America. You get factories in India and China and all of those areas, to the point where now the most industrialized areas are India and China, where they have huge amounts of factories in Southeast Asia making all the products that we use every day. Think about where your iPhone and your shoes are made. So, England to the United States through industrial espionage, and then the European continent. That finishes this section of notes.